Hello everyone, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces Talks Music. So today I'm hoping to unearth another hidden gem for you guys to give a listen and see what you think. And this time I'm going to be talking about a Japanese prog rock band. They only released one album in 1973, and it's a pretty rare record. I spent a lot of time in Japan when I was younger, and while I was there, I was interested in prog rock, so I started poking around trying to find out what the prog rock scene looked like in Japan. And one of the bands that I came across was a band called the Far East Family Band. And this band, of course, is most famous for spawning eventually Kitaro, who is a new age musician and really was kind of a cutting edge new age musician. So this band that I'm going to talk about today, they're called Far Out. And they only have one album, and I've seen the album either called a self-titled or Nihonjin, which is the name of one of the tracks. And on their Bandcamp, it is listed as Nihonjin, so I think that is the name of the record. And the most important link that this has to the Japanese prog scene is that the main composer, vocalist, and guitarist for this album, Fumio Miyashita, eventually joined the Far East Family Band. And I've seen so much information, some of it right, a lot of it incorrect, trying to advertise this band in connection with the Far East Family Band, people calling it kind of a Far East Family Band secret first album and that kind of stuff, but it's really not. The only connection is that one member. So yeah, this is an album by Far Out. It's called Nihonjin. It was their only album, and it is absolutely incredible. And I know that I call it a forgotten record because I think it's forgotten to the general public. I know that record collectors, people who are specifically very much into collecting really old prog stuff, absolutely know of this record, and its prices went crazy. People were paying up to $2,000 for this record. And when I stumbled across it, the first time I listened to it, I was just really blown away. It's incredible. The album consists of 2 tracks, and they're both side-length epic tracks, and there's not a sour moment for me in any of them. So really quick, let's go over the publication. It came out in 1973, and let's go over the members of the band at the time. So of course, Fumio Miyashita was the vocalist. Says he does the Nihon Bue, and I don't know exactly what that is. Japanese bue, I don't know. Acoustic guitar, harmonica, moog, and composer and producer. And this really was a vehicle for his work, I think, this first album. And then Eiichi Sayu, who did lead guitar, Hammond organ, and chorus vocals. Kei Ishikawa did bass guitar, electric sitar, which is super cool, we'll go over that, and vocals. And then Manami Arai did drums, Nihon Daiko, which I think is a type of drum, and also chorus vocals. The artwork, which you can see here, of course, is a glove hanging on a line drawing, was by Shinobu Ishimaru. And there's a couple of things you should know about this record before you jump in. The first being that, unlike the Far East Family Band, these guys decided to do most of their vocals in English. And I only know the first album by the Far East Family Band, and it's mainly in Japanese. But these guys chose to do their vocals in English. So if you have a hard time listening to people singing with an accent, then this might not be the record for you. It doesn't bother me at all. I find it really incredible, and he's good at the English, but you can hear that accent in there as he sings. And one of the things that I find when I'm digging for these old prog rock records is with a lot of these epics, you'll find that I feel sometimes that the space is filled in ways that is not very interesting. There comes points when people feel like they're just padding out songs for the length because people expect long epics on prog rock records, and I'm happy to report that in this case there is no padding here, in my opinion. I feel like the two moments, the very beginning of the first track and the very end of the last track, where they really allow themselves to use some sound effects and some noises and spacey sounds, work beautifully and add to the atmosphere, and they pass pretty quick. And then the rest of these two epics, the rest of the music on these two epics are absolutely incredible, mainly guitar led, really incredible music. And the lead guitarist on this album has soul. He's really, I mean, the melody of the guitar solos is incredible, but they also really move me emotionally. I'm not like jaw-dropping over the technical skill of this guy, but I do really, I mean, I was just shocked by how much soul this guy has and how his solos create emotional responses in the listener. It's really incredible. I think fans of Pink Floyd will absolutely love this record because of this guitarist. He's really brilliant. When there's not guitar solo centered stuff, there's sitar stuff, and I know that for some the sitar can be kind of an overused or cliche instrument from the 60s and 70s. I don't mind sitar. In fact, I like the sound of the sitar, and it works beautifully in these songs. It's really incredible. So the first track is called Too Many People, and it opens with kind of spacey noises and wind, and then this really beautiful guitar line, kind of finger-picked guitar line, and the vocals. And the vocalist has a really unique sense of melody that I really enjoy. He uses a lot of flourishes that I find really interesting, and I hope that you do too. And the cool thing about these is you listen to this 40-minute record, well, probably 39 minutes, 38 minutes, 38 to 40-minute record, and you feel like it's only been 10 minutes. And I think the reason for that is because these songs earn every minute of their length. I never get bored when I'm listening to this. It's absolutely incredible. Each section of the guitar solos after the vocal part are really just outstanding, and they move in such a way that continuously builds and makes the music really very interesting. The second track is called Nihonjin, which means Japanese people. Has a similar vibe when it starts to Too Many People. The vocalist uses many of the same flourishes and tricks in this second one that he did in this first one, and there's nothing overly repetitive or bad about that. It's still incredible throughout that first one as well. And again, we get these incredible instrumental sections, and I feel like the second track is a little bit more proggy than the first. We get some more unique riffs, I think, in this second one. I can't decide. I love this whole album start to finish. I can't say one of these tracks is better than the other. A lot of it, like Pink Floyd, kind of veers towards almost emotional blues guitar playing, but this one has some real strong proggy moments, almost Genesis-esque choices that the guitarist makes. And it ends in a really unique way. So they end it with this chant that is in Japanese. So most of it has been in English, and then all of it's been in English, and then they end it with this Japanese chant that is repeated over and over again as the music builds, and it's really an incredible style to end this album with. And honestly, I feel that the band Acid Mother's Temple probably were inspired by this album, and I can't find any interview that says, oh yeah, we loved this album or anything like that. But when I listened to Acid Mother's Temple, I think it's called Lenovia? I can't remember the name of the album now. It's one I'm going to be talking about on this channel eventually. I absolutely love it. One 45-minute track and then like a 3-minute track. It's an incredible record. Lenovia. I think it's Lenovia. But yeah, I feel like this is the beginning of a conversation that ends with Acid Mother's Temple. It's really incredible. And after this epic ending, the last like 3 or 4 minutes of the song are this incredible traditional Japanese section where they use a lot of Japanese instruments, which is probably, maybe bue means flute, which is probably where these Japanese instruments that they listed under what each person did come from. And it sounds like, and it doesn't just jump to like enka or Japanese rural folk music. It jumps back to a type of music called gagaku. And if you've never heard gagaku, it is absolutely wild. This music, the first time I heard it, and I'm a fan of Tangerine Dream and a lot of ambient music, and the first time I heard it, this music, which dates back all the way to the 10th century, sounded to me like it was like the most alien music I'd ever heard, and it put me in that same kind of trance that really early Tangerine Dream does. And they end with this section that sounds like this old gagaku. Look up gagaku on YouTube, Gagaku, and just listen to some of the earliest Japanese court music, gagaku, that you can find. It's wild. It's so wild. It's some of my favorite music to listen to for just ambiance while I'm working or whatever. But anyway, it's a perfect end to this album. The only negative I can really say to this album, and the first time I heard it was on, I think, a cassette tape in Japan, was that, in my opinion, the lead guitarist, not the rhythm guitarist, who's also the vocalist, the lead guitarist's guitar is mixed way too high in the music. So you can't turn up the music high enough, in my opinion, to get the background, the rhythm section to where you want it without the guitar just shredding your ears. And in 2000, they did a remaster. I think it was 2000. And I was really happy when that came out. But unfortunately, even with that remaster, which made the rhythm section just sound incredible, but even with that remaster, the guitar was way up there, and I have to turn it down to the point that I feel like I'm just listening to a guitar. Apparently, it's been remastered in 2021. I just found that out because I found the Bandcamp that has this, and unfortunately, it seems like all of the remasters are sold out on the Bandcamp. And the only comment on the Bandcamp page is somebody saying, "Hey, I didn't receive my record. It's been months and I haven't received this. Will you get a hold of me, please?" That's the only comment I could find on the Bandcamp. So I don't know. I do want a copy of this 2021 remaster. So I'm going to poke into that and see if I can at least find a copy of that somewhere. But anyway, guitar's mixed a little bit too high. But I also wanted to add that the 2000 release for the bonus tracks added most of the tracks from Far East Family Band's first record. And they're great. The only problem I have with that is those tracks are not this band. They were looking for some kind of tracks, I think, to put on as bonus tracks for this album, and just decided to put tracks from where the main vocalist and guitarist of this band moved to his second band, and that didn't make a lot of sense to me, but they are great. So if you end up with the 2000 version, which is probably the best sounding version in my opinion, you are going to get most of the Far East Family Band's first record on there as well. All right. Yeah, give this a listen. It's one of these albums you want to sit down and listen to from start to finish. I'm sure it's on YouTube. You can find it and listen to it on your drive or sitting and working, whatever. I think that you will really, really enjoy this record. And I really feel like this should have a high place in anybody's prog collection. It's incredible. Wonderful album. All right. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this, please click like. And if you like this kind of content, please click subscribe, because we're going to be making a lot more of it in the future. And thank you so much for watching.